to the Wednesday meditation service. When Jack and I got into the work, and I think of the work as getting into what your mission on life is. And we had been married just for probably about a year, and then we had a life-changing experience together where somebody handed us a Maharishi book on Broadway in New York City, and another one on an Edgar Cayce book. And I've mentioned this before, but it's just, it seems like at that point, it went, whew, you're now, this is why you're together. And so we've been meditating ever since that first year of marriage. We had marched in Chicago, but that isn't why we went there. We went there really to work on a film that Jack was hoping to get backing on, and awakened to the situation of Vietnam and our young people going. And now we're in a time where a lot of young people are waking up to what's going on in Ukraine and the aggression. And a lot of people are starting to meditate and realize they want to get themselves centered so we can have that lifted up consciousness that can help. The world at this time seems to be challenging the goodness of all life, wanting to dominate with our little brains and not connecting to the divine one. And so it is so important at this time to meditate. And we feel so blessed to be here at this time. So I'm going to play these wonderful instruments that were just given to me about an hour ago, and I'm hoping I can do justice to them. And we're going to do a chant to these wonderful sounds. So just relax, get yourself into a beautiful, relaxed state. Be sure your body, you're not aware of it. If it means you have to lay down on the pew if you have aches and stuff, and if you want to just disappear from your body, it's okay to lay down on the pew, or just get yourself a little pillow that supports your back, bring it with you, so that you are really comfortable when you meditate. Okay. I am one with all. I am one with all. I am one with all. Love flows through me. Love flows through me. Light shines through me. Light shines through me. There is none but you. There is none but you. There is none but you. I am one with all. I am one with all. Love flows through me. Love flows through me. Light shines through me. Light shines through me. There is none but you. There is none but you. Kindness flows through me. Kindness flows through me. There is none but you. We are all one. We are all one. Love, radiant love. Love, radiant love. Om.
Good evening, everyone. Again, this evening, I won't be saying anything that you inwardly don't already know, or saying anything that I haven't said before. Our world is fraught with insanity. And I suspect that most of us spent a great portion of our lives trying to learn how to live with it, accepting it as our reality, and thereby trying to live life in such a way that we could avoid a great deal of the suffering and pain and sorrow and madness that the world actually heaps out every day. So, to the degree that anyone identifies with the world, strictly with the world, I'm not talking about the masters of life, who, while they may still be in the world, they are not of the world. I'm talking about the people that are in the world and of the world, still believing that the material, physical life is the final definition of life. Those people will suffer the insanity more than those who are on their spiritual journey, learning how to transcend the thinking and appearances of the world. Are you aware of the fact that that's what we on the spiritual journey are doing? We are learning to transcend the thinking of the world and the insanity of the world. And that requires personal transformation. It requires a daily practice in order to deal with the insanity, the trouble, the pain. Can you imagine that 2,000 years ago, Jesus is quoted as saying this to his disciples after a long discourse about the world? I am not alone. No, the Father is with me. I have said this to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. That in me you may have peace. Again, if you've been with us for a while, you know that we're not thinking strictly from a historic perspective. We see that Jesus represents that universal consciousness, the Christ consciousness, that if you're in that Christ consciousness, you will have peace. So it's not a man speaking 2,000 years ago strictly about the physical life, but speaking about the truth of life, that we have this divine presence of which we are all a part. It actually is at the core of everyone's being. But whether or not anyone opens up to that, allows that to become his or her guiding awareness, is a matter of free will, choice. To the degree that one allows that divine consciousness to become the guiding awareness in his or her life, to that degree, that one will have peace. So, the masters of life are therefore ever seeking to help us find our way into that consciousness. And it's interesting that it seems without being able to accomplish that, we cannot really have a fulfilling life. We may have moments of feeling okay, or gee, I won that one, or I did okay today. But the fact is, until we feel the presence of our divine nature, we do not know how to feel good. We only know how to feel personal victory, personal success, moments, fleeting moments of happiness, even on rare occasions, a fleeting moment of being at peace with what's going on in the world. But for the most part, we don't know how to feel that joy, that peace, that love, that can only be felt when we enter this divine awareness. It's interesting because I think the whole concept of meditation is catching on. I found this quote in the Reader's Digest under quotable quotes in the Reader's Digest. I think it was last month. Visibility these days seem to somehow equate to success. Do not be afraid to disappear for a while and see what comes to you in the silence. That's a screenwriter wrote this. Visibility these days seems to somehow equate to success. Do not be afraid to disappear for a while and see what comes to you in the silence. Well, this happens to be the primary practice for us, especially in our Western culture, because the demands that life makes upon us to attempt to stay up with the society in which we live are astronomical. And the distractions in our world are myriad, many. And so it's not possible for us to really find that way to fulfillment and peace unless we are determined enough to meditate every day. Once we do that every day, deal with withdrawing the mind from the trappings, the treasures, the seeming treasures and pleasures of the world, withdrawing our attention from that and being still and quiet. That's the key. That's the way, and eventually that awareness will travel with us, so that when you're beginning to experience the trials and tribulations that go with the world, you can withdraw within your own consciousness and still have peace of mind. You can bestow peace. You can be of a healing aspect when others are losing their minds, because you are practicing the reality of the presence of God. God is omnipresent, everywhere present, which means always available to anyone. But the problem we have is that we are not available to that presence. Our minds are forever contemplating, thinking, planning, trying to figure out how to deal with life in such a way as to improve our future physical life. And we have to some degree, give that up. We have to be able to step away from that incessant thinking, from the illusionary idea of being a body self, and be still. And as we enter the stillness in meditation, this divine awareness rises, not just within our minds as we see this is divine awareness, but it engulfs us. It becomes one with us. And we realize we are more than this personal, separate hunk of flesh, this skin-encapsulated self. But we have to have a few experiences like that. And they're not going to come to us until we become determined to do some spiritual practice on a regular basis. And then we will so enjoy that peace and that love that come to us doing that, that it won't be a difficult problem. It won't be a matter of, personal discipline. It starts with personal discipline, but it ends with the joy of being. The joy of saying, now is the time to be still, to enter into that wonderful, refined place of God consciousness. That's what it's all about. I'll tell you, way back when my children were all very young, we used to go camping for 3 or 4 weeks every summer. And we didn't have a particular place in mind when we left. We would camp wherever, we'd go into the wilderness. Or if we'd hear about a place that was really a great camping place, that maybe had a lake, or it had some fun things that we could all do, we would go there. But it was very spontaneous, the way we would go camping with our children. And that was for many, 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 many years. So, we were doing that when they 4, 5, and 7 years old. But we were still doing it when they were 12, 13, and 15. On those camping trips, I would always leave the campsite, wherever it was, at dawn. And I would go out and find a high place or some place where I could be alone and practice meditation. On one camping trip, when we were in the bottom of the Havasupai area of the Grand Canyon, we did that Grand Canyon hike, I don't know, possibly 4 times. It's about a 9 or 10 mile hike down into the Havasupai area of the Grand Canyon, but it has a beautiful lake, a gorgeous lake down there. And it's great, beautiful swimming. But we would go down there, and like I usually did on these camping trips, I would go hiking out into the canyons by myself. I know Norma would come out sometimes after me. I could hear her out there playing the flute. But I always made it part of my agenda to get out and find a place, because the kids were sound asleep at dawn. Usually they had played and tired themselves out. So I had this time to be still. And while in the Grand Canyon, on one of my hikes, I came upon this stream that ran up this hill and ran up into its own small canyon. And there was like a smooth rock alcove in this canyon, almost completely shut off, because the entrance to it was very narrow. So I climbed up and worked my way into this alcove, this rock alcove. The rock was totally smooth all the way around. The water when the water had been running greater than it was at that time, it had just made everything beautiful and smooth. And I sat there and I realized I had removed myself from all sound. There was no sound coming in to that alcove. Nothing. There are birds in that canyon, and there's all kinds of noise with the wind rustling through the bushes and the trees, but not in that enclosed canyon place. And it was so quiet, I felt my heart beating. It was the only thing I was aware of. And I listened to my heart the way I would listen to a muted tom-tom beating, very gently. And I very quickly entered that state of meditation where you simply expand beyond the thought of being a body. Now, I suspect that many of you have had that experience if you're practicing meditation. You expand beyond the thought of being a physical body. And what rises in you is this joy, this peace, this beautiful awareness that you can only refer to as love. You're in a state of pure love and being, and there's nothing on your mind. You're not even in the world anymore. You're in the consciousness divine. But I've done that in meditation prior to that, except that when I got there, I was able to do it so beautifully and quickly and stayed so long in it, I didn't want to return back to my campsite. The Course in Miracles speaks about this. I want to share this with you. Because the Course in Miracles is an amazing divine document that is forever, leading us, from this outer way of reading it to this place where we can actually enter into a one-on-one experience with our true self, or the divine awareness, or God, or Christ consciousness. This is from page 161 in the old text. Everyone has experienced what he would call a sense of being transported beyond himself. This feeling of liberation far exceeds the dream of freedom sometimes hoped for in special relationships. It is a sense of actual escape from limitations. If you will consider what this transportation really entails, you will realize that it is a sudden unawareness of the body and the joining of yourself and something else in which your mind enlarges to encompass it. It becomes part of you as you unite with it, and both become whole, as neither is experienced as separate. What really happens is that you have given up the illusion of a limited awareness and lost your fear of union. The love that instantly replaces it extends to what has freed you and unites with you. And while this lasts, you are not uncertain of your identity and would not limit it. I don't expect you can take this all in. You can go look this up in the old text on 161. I'll read it again, though. It's explaining to us the experience of meditation. Everyone has experienced what he would call a sense of being transported beyond himself. I think that reference there is to, like maybe sometime you were walking on the beach during the sunrise, or in which you just lost yourself in the feeling of the beauty of everything. Or maybe you were watching children play and you lost the awareness of your incessant thinking about yourself, and you just felt this joy that was being radiated by these children giggling and laughing and carrying on. So, I mean, there are different ways that this can happen to you, but you're transported beyond your ego-centered concerns about life. And that's what our spiritual transformation is all about. So it's telling us that sense of being transported beyond yourself. This feeling of liberation far exceeds the dream of freedom, sometimes hoped for in a special relationship. That's the dream of the world. You're going to find Mr. Right or Miss Right, and you're going to walk up into the sunset like they do in the movies. I'm going to change all that, by the way, if I get a chance this lifetime. You know, you have all of this going on. The hero wipes out all the bad guys and saves the girl, and then they walk off together into their new life together, having done away with all the evil that was trying to take them out. I want to take all those movies and do another 15-minute segment of what their lives are like now that they're together with each other. Harry, take out the trash. It's not my turn. I took it out yesterday. I don't know where we are. This is, by the way, this is not a dialogue. This is a monologue. It's my monologue. You can't intrude on it. I'll finish reading this. This feeling of liberation far exceeds the dream of freedom, sometimes hoped for in special relationships. It is a sense of actual escape from limitations. If you will consider what this transportation really entails, you will realize that it is a sudden unawareness of the body and the joining of yourself in something else in which your mind enlarges to encompass it. It becomes part of you as you unite with it, and both become whole, as neither is perceived as separate. What really happens is that you have given up the illusion of a limited awareness and lost your fear of union. The love that instantly replaces it extends to what has freed you and unites with it. And while this lasts, you are not uncertain of your identity and would not limit it. So you see what the inference is here is that our identity is this higher true awareness. And of the disciples Jesus spoke, he prayed to God that they would be in the world but not of the world, that they would find their way into his presence. And he says to them, as I said before, you know, if you are in me and I am in you, then you are free in the peace that transcends the thinking of the world. To find your way into that and be able to sustain that level of awareness finally brings you to understand that your true self is this Christ consciousness. Your true self is this soul, not this body personality life. That's the limited identity. Your soul, your eternal soul, which enters in and becomes one with you in these moments where you surrender the illusion of being a separate body through spiritual practice, in those moments, you know your identity is divine, that you are eternal, and that this body is just one life that you have chosen at this time in this three-dimensional consciousness in which you can reflect upon what you think and the actions you take. So, when you finally get involved in doing the spiritual practice on a regular basis, that is not just meditating, but remembering to take a holy pause when you're operating in the world and conditions and circumstances are beginning to come apart at the seams, as sometimes they do with people and conditions. Instead of reacting from the gut level, the adrenaline level, you pause. You allow your ego to be still. You're not getting involved, you just pause. And you open yourself up to this more refined, all-intelligent, all-present awareness we call God. And it may gently prompt you to take some action, or it may just prompt you to be still and not involve yourself at all. But it will guide you to continue, listen to it. Is this really what you want? Listen to what I'm about to say. The holy pause, you stop, you don't react from ego, you simply pause and allow this refined awareness to prompt you to know that you really only want peace. And you are claiming the peace of God. And while you're doing that, you are helping to heal the collective consciousness of humanity. To the degree that you can't do that, to the degree that you're still reacting, fighting to be right, to be understood, to be heard, to be thought well of, or whatever it is you're fighting for, to that degree, you still have work to do on the spiritual journey. And I can tell you, I didn't just, explode into spiritual awareness from my beginnings on a spiritual journey. I had many situations where I lost my cool, my temper, my peace, everything. But after years of practicing the presence, that doesn't happen. So we're going to meditate together again tonight. And the meditation begins by not holding any grievances against yourself or against anyone else. If you're holding any type of negative feelings about yourself for something from the past or something someone else did, or just let that go. Because I can tell you, it is not in the consciousness of God. When you enter the consciousness of God, there is no unforgiveness left. There's no place for it. So we begin meditation by being okay with ourselves. Just sitting still and okay. Now, you don't have to do anything more extraordinary than find a quiet place to sit or sometimes lie down and be still and just use a mantra, a gentle thought. You have to give the mind something to do because it is an incessant thinking machine. It has been programmed from your youth to be thinking about how to get ahead in the world, or how to deal with limitations from the past, or any number of crazy mixed up stuff that seems to improve. It's going to improve your life. It's not. So in meditation, you sit down and you're okay, and you don't do anything else but just feel okay. I'm not doing anything but feeling okay. You could use that as a mantra. I'm not doing anything but feeling okay. I have nothing against myself or anyone else. I'm just sitting here enjoying the miracle of the moment. We'll take that, by the way, for our silence. After we listen to the bowls and allow them to energize our 7 spiritual centers, we will open up our awareness by using that thought. I'm okay. I hold nothing against myself or anyone else, and there is peace. I'm okay. I hold nothing against myself or anyone else, and there is peace. in this refined level of awareness. We will offer the names of those that have been submitted to our prayer list. As Norma calls the name, you merely want to let the thought, "You are whole," go to that name. You are whole.
Nick and Anna, Alexis Dale, Jacqueline Montgomery, Kristen Hunter, Ruth Engelhart, Louis Jordan, Emily, Larry Morrison, Annie Restello and son and daughter, Alex McKeon and family, Sean Paul Christensen, Jeannie and mother, Brett Hearn, Wouter Verhagen, Rick Patterson, Alexis Charlie and family, Joe Wilder, Dave DeZuba, Elisa, Archers, DeMarces, Morrisons, Ferrets, all families of the world, Urban family, the Ward family, Ashley, Lee, Raja, Kayla, Mustis, Manny, Jennifer, Sean Paul, Jackie Hawkins, Emily, Joanne Jones and family, Scott Pulo and mother, Michelle Pulo and family, Olga Martin and child, Debbie Pucci, Sandy Spahn, Tom, Jonathan, Sue Hollinsworth, David Batista, the Ukrainian people and soldiers, the election in France, the air, the water, the earth, all life on planet Earth. And you can call out a name at this time if you'd like to do so. We see this healing light surrounding the prayer box and all the people whose names have been submitted. We see them healed physically, mentally, and spiritually.
Let us take a moment for a visualization. Let us visualize our Boulder community and everyone in it rising into the divine awareness. Recognize this divine presence in every person, in every place, in every condition, and there is joy and peace. And we see this refined awareness rising in the consciousness of everyone sharing the state of Colorado with us. And this awareness of the presence rising in the hearts and minds of everyone sharing these United States of America with us. And so the divine consciousness continues to spread throughout the human awareness to every person in every place, in every culture, in every country of the world. And we see this establishing a new harmony and understanding between mankind and all other creatures on planet Earth, between mankind and the environment and the forests, the mountains and minerals and trees, the oceans and rivers. Mankind recognizing himself and everything around him to be sacred. As we pray, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And God is love. And one more name, let us bring into the light of divine awareness, Sandy Spawn. And so it is. We will take an offering for unity now. As we take our offerings in our hands, and those of you that are tuning in on live stream or watching this now or later on YouTube, you can bring to mind a financial gift you'd like to make and intend to make. So let us all bring to mind and in hand that financial gift to Unity of Boulder, and let's bless it with this prayer. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. To this we say, Amen.
I am one with all. I am one with all. All life hears my call. All life hears my call. I am one with all. I am one with all. All life hears my call. I am one with all.
Join me now, please. We dedicate this tithe to the will and the work of the Spirit of truth, the Spirit available to each of us, the Spirit that joins all of us. We dedicate this tithe to the victory of the Spirit of truth. Amen. Sunday we have our regular services. And I will probably be speaking to some of the questions that were asked me about the Good Friday service. That should be interesting as well. And then Santisha will have the 11 o'clock service. And
I want to thank Steve for letting me use his 2 bowl instruments that are incredible. So thank you, Steve. That was really fun.
All right. So, to everyone, good night. Godspeed.